Okay, well, thank you, Peter. Yeah, my name's Kirkby from the Manufacturing Institute. I've quite cheekily called my presentation Fab Labs and the New Industrial Revolution, because I knew Peter was chairing the presentation tonight. So, yes, we're going to talk about how Fab Labs are affecting this revolution, and also how they may be contributing in some small way to the future of UK manufacturing. So the Manufacturing Institute are a charity who exist really to support UK manufacturing. We do this through trying to inspire the current and future workforce for manufacturing, educate people in the capabilities and the needs required for manufacturing, and also to improve the way we do things as manufacturers in the UK, which is why we were very interested in Fab Labs. So the Fab Lab concept came about from the States back in 2002, and it's conceived by this chap Neil Gershenfeld, who works at MIT, the Centre for Bits and Atoms. And he's a very clever chap. He's one of the top 50 scientists in the world, and we love him because he comes out with these really clever little statements, and we collect them. One example is this: glue is a sign of failure. It's a great comment about manufacturing. But anyway, moving on. And the reason he set up the first Fab Lab is because it was to actually provide access to everybody to the means of design and fabrication, where in the past, only big institutions and big organizations and industries such as MIT and big companies could actually design and make things in this way. This was to empower individuals to be able to make just about anything. And with it being MIT as well, the way MIT do things, it was also just to see what would happen if they did it. So what is a Fab Lab? Has anyone here heard of a Fab Lab before tonight? A show of hands. Oh, a few. Anyone actually been to a Fab Lab? We have 3, I think. Great. Well, so for those who haven't, I'll let Jason Bradbury of the Gadget Show explain a bit more succinctly than I can. So that's basically it's a community workshop for digital fabrication, effectively. And that's kind of what each individual Fab Lab can do, but the thing that really gives them power and strength in the community is the Fab Lab community. And this is currently made up of a worldwide community network of about over 400 Fab Labs worldwide, and it crosses pretty much the entire world, apart from Antarctica for obvious reasons, across about 50 countries. And for those kind of pure geographers in the audience who want to know kind of how that's spread out, then there's a link there that shows all the current and developing Fab Labs in the world. Now, this came to the UK in about 2010, with Fab Lab Manchester as the first one in the UK. And this has grown quite rapidly into about 14 Fab Labs. And again, for the geographers, I'll show how these have actually spread across the country. Now, all of these Fab Labs are connected by, globally, as a global network, by the Fab Lab Charter, which is the glue that holds them together. It's a set of guiding principles, all based around open innovation and knowledge sharing. Now, you may notice here that the 2 Fab Labs in London, the South East, were 2 of the latest Fab Labs that only came up recently. But at the same time, London has actually been developing probably the most diverse maker community in the country, with other places such as Makerversity, hack spaces and such. And only recently have come to Fab Labs. Why that is, I'm not too sure, but that's something maybe to discuss. So, what impacts are Fab Labs having on UK manufacturing? Well, first of all, and most obviously, is inspiration. So, people are actually, Fab Labs are actually showing that manufacturing is not all about repetitive, boring jobs and dark, satanic mills, but it's about design, it's about problem solving, it's about creativity, and inspiring a generation of young people and other people to actually look at manufacturing as a career choice. It's also providing empowerment. You'd be amazed at how much empowerment people get, personal empowerment, from actually making stuff, especially when they actually use a machine to make something. An example of this is we've been working with a big multinational manufacturer. We had a workshop a couple of weeks ago with some of their executives. And as part of this workshop, they spent a few minutes making a laser-cut keyring with their name on it, and they were gobsmacked. They were amazed. And this is high-power people in this big organization. So imagine the empowerment that can have with an 11-year-old. It's amazing to see. We're also looking at it's also enabling skills development. And Fab Labs are promoting more of a cross-disciplinary way of developing skills. So it's not just about putting together a team of electronic engineers, designers, mechanical engineers. It's about teaching people all of those skills in one person. And we do this by project-based or just-in-time learning. So we can't sit down and teach someone everything there is to know about electronics design or everything there is to know about structural mechanics. But we ask people, what do you want to make? Not what can you make? And so when they come with what they want to make, we teach them how to make that product and all the aspects of it too. And also, while we're doing that, we teach them how to learn how to make those products and how to find the information they need. So next time they go to the next project, they can go independently and learn how to make that project. And bit by bit, they build up knowledge of this project-based learning. And this is actually creating this real interest amongst manufacturers in what's started to be termed as device engineering. So rather than employing a series of people with different siloed skills, they're employing people now, or interested in employing people now, who can design the whole product and make the whole product, not just components of it. We're also seeing the emergence of new models and new manufacturers, and this is new models for startup manufacturing. This chap here is Piers Ridyard, and he designed a small storage device for Apple MacBooks, and he prototyped this in the Fab Lab in Manchester, and then he put it on Kickstarter. I don't know if you know anyone what's Kickstarter. It's a crowdfunding website. He asked for $11,000 to develop it further, and he got $384,000 pledged in a month. So he used this to set up a manufacturing system, and now this thing is on sale in Apple shops across Europe and the Middle East. And actually, he's our first Fab Lab millionaire. But all this happened in 6 months. From first prototype in the Fab Lab to on-sale Apple shops was 6 months. So it's a new model for a low-risk, very rapid model for getting businesses to grow. And also looking at new ways of working. So there's a very growing interest very recently amongst big manufacturers especially around this lab culture. So it's not just the machines in the lab or the process that they use, but it's actually the way they think. So it's breaking down this traditional top-down pyramid approach to running a business and looking at a more circular structure, which is all about exploration and inventiveness and collaboration and inclusion of all the people in the organization. Someone whistling at me. Inclusion of all the people in the organization. But it's also a dirty word about failure, about allowing failure to happen and actually embracing failure as a learning tool, an experimentation tool. And also, another word that we discussed before this was play. Really encouraging people to actually think about this as play, getting their hands dirty, experimenting, having fun, which actually makes people much more creative. And the last thing I want to talk about is this convergence. So we're seeing a very strong convergence now of the digital, creative and manufacturing sectors. And this is changing people's perceptions of manufacturing and UK manufacturing. Now, I do 3D printing has a lot of press hype over the last few years, but what it has done, it has had an effect on the way people perceive manufacturing because when 3D printers became very much consumer or commercially available to consumers in about 2012, this also coincided with the growth of the maker movement, not just Fab Labs, but all kind of maker spaces in the UK. And also colleges we're working with said that they noticed a step change in young people choosing STEM subjects around about 2012, and it's really they've oversubscribed now. And this has all coincided with the rise of the 3D printing and the maker movement. And we're seeing there's a real opportunity now for the future of manufacturing. I mean, I assume a lot of people here will know that there's a huge skills shortage for UK manufacturing, and it's a big problem. But we're finding that we can now teach technical skills to creative people. And as an engineer through and through, I can say hand on heart that I find it much easier to teach engineering to creative people and technical skills to creative people than I do to teach engineers creativity. So we're seeing this new cadre of people emerging, which we're calling creative engineers. And this is where we see a real opportunity for the growth of UK manufacturing. And just to finish off, there's a slightly tongue-in-cheek example of how this convergence is happening and what the product of this convergence is showing. So this is actually Kelly, who's a sculptor, and she's designed and made this herself. So just a great example of how these things are converging. So that's my thank you for listening, and I'll probably be in the bar for a short while afterwards, so if you want to come and chat to me, please say hello.